Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 10 Forward Weekly. My name is Mike Fadum, also known as Ambassador Kel. Although a post on Twitter this morning gave me an existential crisis of thinking about how I pronounce that name because I couldn't remember how I pronounce my own screen name. Anyway, joining me today is a senior content designer, a legendary content designer among video games and RPGs. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, Jesse Heinig.
Hey!
I'm going to make the intro longer next time, see if you react more.
I didn't realize that this was going to be upsell like wrestling.
Oh, no, that would be ladies and gentlemen. Anyway. How are you doing today, Jesse?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really glad to be here, and I'm super excited to show off some of what we're doing as we continue the Year of Klingon.
The Year of Klingon. Cool. So this is today. What we're looking at is some of the content. I've been hearing this all internally referred to as Warzone. Tell me what that actually means. What is Warzone?
So in the Klingon mission journal, we break up the missions into groups that have a particular theme. And the Warzone mission group is all about war and how it is important to Klingon society. Currently on the holodeck, the Warzone mission group consists of the missions Bringing Down the House and The House Always Wins, which are a pair of missions about house versus house conflict in the Klingon Empire. And Second Star to the Right and Keep Your Enemies Closer, which are a pair of missions that deal with the Klingon war against the Federation. As part of the Year of Klingon, we're going through and continuing to update these missions and improve them as we can and add in all sorts of material updates. And so these missions are being retouched with an eye toward how can we make the characters really sparkle, how can we make the environments easier to maneuver through, and how can we get the story across that we want to tell. Some of these missions are very, very old, and as a result, we also took a hard look and said, this thing might not be assisting the story, or this thing could be deployed in a way that's more interesting now that we have these new things that we can do in our engine, or our new amazing animator Weston to punch up the cutscenes. So that's what I've been working on, is taking this specific group of missions and for the Year of Klingon, bringing them up to a new standard.
Which is cool. And to do that, we're also streamlining the experience a little bit, right? Like so what was once 4 missions is now like 2, I think?
So not quite. What's happening is Bringing Down the House and The House Always Wins are remaining separate missions, and the basic story remains the same. They are the story of the internal struggles in the Klingon Empire, the political and military strife between the House of Martok, the House of Torg, and the various ancillary groups in the Empire. The 2 missions, Second Star to the Right and Keep Your Enemies Closer, are being merged into one mission that is called Mars, the Bringer of War. Because our old-time Klingon players will remember that one of the highlights of that part of the mission series is that you actually launch an attack against Utopia Planitia. Because at this point in the story, you're still at war with the Federation. We've streamlined a little bit of this. Part of the mission involved in the earlier iterations, the one that's currently live, stealing a Federation runabout and using that as part of a prison break. And that was largely because it had parity with one of the early Federation missions where you steal a Klingon bird of prey. But a runabout that you can't customize is really difficult gameplay and not terribly rewarding. So
I do remember playing through that mission as Ham Sandwich.
Yes. So we've tweaked that part of the story. We've taken out the runabout area. The reason really that we put in the Federation mission where you play the bird of prey is to encourage people who've played Federation characters, maybe you want to try a Klingon too, because the bird of prey is a very different ship with universal bridge seating and a cloaking device, which most Federation ships early on are not going to have. But having that sort of parity on the Klingon side with a Federation runabout that a lot of players have already played and that you don't get to customize because it's a ship override wasn't really getting much for us. So we tore it down and said, okay, what are the parts of the mission that are really important here? Fighting against the DeWitt, attacking the Utopia Planitia shipyards, and then, of course, making the prison break where you go to rescue the captured warriors that didn't escape from Utopia Planitia in time during your attack.
Very cool. Well, why don't we dive in into all of this? I saw a question that I know we can answer really quick. Jazz Network is asking about the old Guardian of Forever mission and when that will return. We're still got that in our back pocket. It's going to it's going to return someday. It's one of our missions with Leonard Nimoy's voice in it, so we're not going to let that one disappear. But it's not in the schedule right this minute.
Yeah, we can't give you a timetable on the old Federation Klingon War side of the missions, but they haven't been forgotten. We're focusing on the year of Klingon at the moment for the Klingon side, for Klingon players, for people who have never played Klingons and want to try them out. And once we finish this, we will return to making other kinds of content and updating other kinds of content. One thing that's also notable about this material, specifically for the Warzone mission group, is that unlike the Klingon tutorial, which you have to make a new character to play, this material is replayable. So if you're playing a Klingon character and have been for years, you can replay these missions and see all of the changes that we're making.
Yeah, which is awesome, and I probably will go back and do that just to see my character in the new cutscenes, if nothing else. All right, so let's dive in.
Weston has really been doing the work for the cutscenes.
Doing the work, putting in all of that work.
He's got it under the thumb.
I'm just gonna shrink your window a little bit so they can see the taskbar in case they need to.
Oh no, I'm melting.
Let me put this to windowed so I can see the chat. Hold on. Okay, I should have done this before the stream, but I forgot. Oh well. I made a minor mistake on Twitter and said "oh well" the other day, so it's become a Reddit meme. Let's see. All right. Beard of Borg, I believe that title, if it's been made, will be called Should Have Left. All right, so this is one of the first things we'll be looking at in the new old Warzone arc. This is Root of the Problem, which is one of the
this is the very beginning of the mission, bringing down the house.
Yes. Game screen very small on stream. Hold on. Yes, that would appear that is the case. By going windowed, I have shrunk it. Just a sec. That's a silly functionality.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right.
Someone was asking if we were redoing Kronos, the ground map for the social hub itself, and I wanted to note that the reason that we haven't done a rebuild of that, because the layout is pretty difficult to navigate, is that it's such a packed map, so large and with so many important features, that redoing that is at least a 6-week job for multiple people. It is a ton of investment, and we're aware that Kronos' layout could be better. And as part of the tutorial, I tried to streamline the process of navigating it. But a full revamp of that map is something that's just going to take time.
Yeah. Someone was saying the courtyard looks fantastic. I don't believe this is an upgrade. I think this is still original STO graphics we're looking at here. But
yeah, a lot of this environment is pretty original, but some of the path work has been redone to make it easier to tell where you're supposed to go. Yeah. And a few bits and pieces here have been redone by our environment artists along the way. Part of the goal here is, since it's difficult to completely redo all of the maps on a mission, is instead to pick out the things that you interact with specifically and improve those as much as we can.
Cool. KelMG96, I'm pretty sure this is not a question in good faith, but we're going to try anyway. They want to ask about the missing keys from the bundle, or the rep buyout, or the new inquiry ship. The missing keys from the bundle was a mistake in translation, as I mentioned on Twitter. There was not in translation, but a designer copied and pasted an older blog and left the 5 keys in, and I didn't think to ask if that was accurate because we've been doing a lot of changes with bundles and stuff. We realized our mistake that morning, and everybody who bought the bundle while the blog said there should be 5 keys and has contacted support has received those 5 keys. In terms of the rep buyout, I can answer any questions you have about that, but most of that's in the blog. Basically, starting tomorrow, you'll be able to, on PC, purchase a reputation boost, or not really a boost, just a. I've been calling it an accelerator, but it just basically instantly levels the reputation to tier 5. All of your projects complete, you get all of the normal rewards you would get, and access to the projects that having tier 5 will give you access to. And what was the third question, Jesse? I've forgotten. Oh, the inquiry ship. I don't know what your question is. But I can answer them if there's questions.
I'm going to take a guess.
I have several guesses of what the question might be.
Okay, we'll let them ask.
Yeah, we'll let them ask. Okay, so let's talk to Kimtar and get this mission started.
Now, of course, this is a work in progress. There may be occasional weird bugs or missing voice work, things like that. We haven't finished recording everyone, but we have reached out to a ton of Star Trek actors for our Klingon work. So Lady Sorella is now voiced by the actual actress who played her in DS9. Many of the characters are going to sound much more familiar.
Cool. Several people are asking if reputation buyouts are account bound or character bound. As I understand it, you buy out each reputation for each character. All right, let's go talk to Lady Sorella, who I understand has a new model and a new voice. If this is updated with that.
Her outfit has been updated to be a bit more regal and closer to her appearance from DS9, but with a little more age.
Yeah. And this is, did you say this is the actual Lady Sorella actress from Star Trek?
We are bringing in the actual actress, but I don't think that VO has actually been hooked up for this. So
got
I
it.
might be using
Okay,
older
so
VO.
we'll be hearing that. Folks were asking about the temporal ambassador fix on console. Actually, Jesse, you were working on that, right?
So, as far as I know, there is some sort of software issue specific to console that has to do with something that's going on the space map. It is something that is at a technical level that our programmers are going to have to deal with, unfortunately.
Okay, cool. So we're waiting for our programmers to have the ability to do it. And also, if you guys missed in the previous year of Klingon update, this is our redo of Kemtar as well, who you may also know as Alexander.
He is on his way to the Batleth tournament on Forcus 3 with your father. Worf assured me.
We should go to Forcus 3 as well.
I have another concern. Our local farmers.
All right, let's go investigate this mysterious Romulan. Okay, so now you've said a couple of times that the pathing has been updated on this mission. I do remember wandering in circles the first couple of times I played it. Can you tell us a little bit about what changed?
Well, for instance, that stairwell that you just walked down has walls set to the edges in order to try and prevent people from just randomly jumping off of it or getting lost and going the wrong way. And a lot of the staircases and paths are much more visible now. They've been built in a way that you can say, oh, this is clearly a place that I should be going, as opposed to just saying, you need to go somewhere to the east, and here's a big open space with some trees in it. Yeah. Similarly, you go and you talk to this foreperson now who's a farm manager, so that you're moving along your path in small chunks instead of, oh, I need to run all the way across this map and find someone who's on the other side of it and then run all the way back. The experience is designed to make it much easier for people to locate each step of the way.
Yeah.
Once I would have considered that impossible, but we live in strange times. Maybe they have come to us.
All right, I'm going to skip through some of this dialogue unless, Jesse, you say there's something exciting we need to know about him. All right,
no worries. I will call out stuff if it's important.
All right, so we're going to head down this path now at full speed.
So we had a funny bug here where some of the voices were hooked up backwards with the farmers here. And so you'd like be talking to a Klingon woman and get this gruff, very deep voice. And this is not to say that women can't have any sort of voice, but it certainly was jarring if you were not expecting it. So our audio team is working on smoothing this out.
I do like that we get to see a part of Klingon culture we don't normally see here, which is Klingon farmers. They go to glorious battle against weeds.
Right? But remember when Picard visited Kronos and we saw the old woman that he visited to get more information about the Duras conspiracy. we got to see some people who were not warriors per se in Klingon culture, and we know that there are people in their culture who perform these sorts of tasks and these jobs. So it is interesting, and it raises interesting questions too, both for this and for, say, the Picard show of, wait, if you've got replicators that can just rearrange molecules, why are you actually growing real food?
Yeah. I think they've tried to establish on Star Trek a few times that, food grown tastes better than replicated, but...
yeah, people always say that the stuff that is natural is more tasty, and that replicated food tastes fake. Plus, you have to get the biomass from somewhere, and it's probably easier to get it out of plants and things that are closer to chemicals that you can already eat and digest.
Discovered Dragon translating a question from someone else on Facebook. I appreciate it. I was going to get to that, I swear. They're asking why they can't use the turbolifts on certain bridges on Xbox. When we launched the game on console, we ran out of time to attach or hook up or build the rest of most bridges. So I think most bridges are just the bridge and not any of the extra like engineering and things of that nature. Admittedly, it's been a few years. I'm not entirely sure what the holdup has been. I think it may just be one of those things that got pushed to the back in priority. I'll bring it up again, because I know we're looking for more quality of life things to work on, and that might be something interesting to fix. Someone was asking... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. It's also worth noting that ship interiors are extremely memory intensive. They are pretty large maps, and they have a whole bunch of hidden stuff going on in order to deal with things like trophies and DOF assignments. And that means that getting them to fit on a console is a real trick. The best ideal solution would be for us to sort of reconceptualize what we do with bridges and ship interiors, rebuild them, and then launch that across PC and console. But that is a huge task.
Yep.
So its time may come, but who can say when?
So those stairs I just ran down and up were also part of the repathing, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
I remember this mission
flow.
being just running over and over endless hills. This is so much nicer.
Yep.
Someone said the game stream on the stream is still small. Yes, I never updated it. My bad. Someone was asking about Targ pets. That's an interesting idea. We should look into that, Jesse.
I absolutely agree that we should have Targ pets for players.
Yes. So are these were these originally voiced, or is this some of the new voice work we've added?
This is some of the new voice work we've added. These are our secondary characters because at this part of the mission, you are trying to track down a Romulan spy who has been using different identities as he makes his way through the farm for his own nefarious purposes. And so each person you talk to has a different story because the Romulans told him something different. And you're trying to get closer and closer to find this guy and figure out what his actual deal is.
Yeah. Someone was asking what the symbol is on your shirt, Jesse.
This is the Temporal Operations Division for TOS, for when we originally released our TOS expansion. And the only reason that I'm wearing this is because we haven't yet gotten a Year of Klingon t-shirt.
We should get one, or we should at least make one.
Yes.
All right. So, that's neat. It tells you which way to go.
Yeah, we got that mini game, you may recall, from one of our recent missions, and so I added it in here so that as you're trying to figure out where this guy is, you're playing sort of the hot potato game of using your scanner to try and figure out where is this spy located.
This is also didn't this also get updated for the summer event on the one of the stronger weaker thing we have there?
Yep. Same mechanics.
Dope.
And if you get a little bit lost here, the game is set up so that after you have scanned multiple times, about 10 times, you will get a lock on exactly where the guy is, and then the scan will start pointing you directly toward him.
Oh, nice. All right, I'm going to jump off this mountain. I'm probably not following your good pathing that you set up for this.
No worries.
The signal is getting stronger.
I've been playing a lot of Ghost of Tsushima lately, and doing...
yeah.
I'm going to run up to this mountain. Nope, I'm going to run around this mountain.
Yeah. I've been playing a little bunch of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and so there's always that very strong temptation of, I'm going to climb this.
Yep. Oh no! I've fallen.
You've fallen to the correct place.
Oh no, I have fallen to the I'm stuck place. Hold on.
Oh no, that's terrible. We'll have to fix that bug.
Speckled Solace, there's no plans right now for anything that's specifically Enterprise tie-in that I'm aware of. I know the anniversary is coming up this year. But we're focusing mostly on our original storylines for right now rather than trying to tie into a specific show. But we may in the future. Okay. Kill me. I've tried that. Oh, huh.
You able to use console commands at all?
Probably. What's a good one?
Well, you can always say, if you just want to kill yourself, EC space me space set health PCT space 0.
Yeah, that might respawn me. Yeah, okay. EC me PC health? Set PC health?
Set my health PCT for percentage.
Ah. Oh nope!
See,
I have no access
no
level
dice.
on this.
All
All right, we're just gonna.
All right. Well, you're pretty close to the end of this map anyway. I'll have to go in there and smooth that bit
I
of the
just
environment
map
thing.
moved to the map again, and that put me back where I started.
Beautiful.
Yep. Let's trace this spy.
The signal is getting weaker.
Yeah, weaker because I teleported across the map.
Provide a direct line to the target.
Wanted War, you are correct. That is definitely an oh well moment. Oh, hey, all right.
Yes. So if you get lost, it's like, okay, here's exactly where you need to
Yeah,
go.
go this way. That's very nice. No, excuse me, while I run over these green and rolling hills. Seahus, if the Emperor's sword is not visible when it's holstered, that's definitely a bug, and I will put that in, because I use that sword on my main character, and I can't believe I haven't noticed. Ah, yes, I think they're probably at this nice, lovely docked bird of prey.
Yes, and we updated the bird of prey model there on the ground as well. So
Aw,
it's a
so
beaut.
pretty. Another day, another crate. When will Miss Klingon's life ever be interesting? And then the song music starts.
Is he a Klingon worker or is he a Klingon environment artist?
The house of Martok will crumble, and with
Okay, cool. I'm just gonna chop you then. I'll chop you a lot. Oh, he left. All right, I'll chop his buddies.
Ah, those silly Romulans always doing those cunning plans and escapes.
I think my Gorn got caught in the same spot.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I see he's got his high-tech rock thrower.
Yeah, I do love having a Gorn science officer.
They're finished. Deal with that bomb before it kills us all.
Yes, that bomb. Sure. Oh, this bomb.
Oh, this bomb.
Sean Silverstone, we believe there's a update to the game coming on 10.6, and there are some things being put into place with that update that are hopefully going to fix some of the lag issues people have been seeing. I don't want to promise it'll make everything go away because it's an experiment, but it's what we're hoping.
We must continue the hunt, my friend.
All right, back to my ship.
Which sword are you using right now?
The Nakul Assassin Blade, I believe. This is a character that was built by Jet, and that is a weapon she favors.
Ah.
Beard of Borg, I have seen your question. You have asked it. Please do not spam the stream with it this time.
Not a question that I can answer. That's a question to ask next time one of the system designers is on.
No, it's a question for Jared. I challenged him to get all the reputations without ever leaving the TOS starting area because he said he could, and so he did. And
Gotcha.
so I promised him a title, but Jared has yet to make it, I think. So I just poked Jared about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And there was someone that was asking about stacks of batteries repeatedly. Same thing. That is a question for a system designer.
Is Bordicus or Jesse in charge of console character select screen? Neither.
Yeah,
That would-
trick answer.
Aha! That would actually be, depending on what part of it you're asking, it's either the responsibility of Thomas as our chief UI artist. We should say chief. We say lead, but anyway, our lead UI artist, or Travis, our programmer, or Scott, our lead environment artist. Gonna launch some ships. I don't remember how this ship works that I'm flying, so we'll just try some stuff. So has anything changed in space here?
Yes. So, in the old version of the mission, this fight actually took place on the Kronos system social map, which, as you might imagine, could cause problems if there were other players around. Like you not getting credit if someone else blew up the ship and suddenly your mission is broken and whatnot. So all of that has been fixed up, and you will see that there's a little more guidance as well to make it easier for you to find where you're supposed to go.
Got it. Neat.
Scanning. Ah, there it is. Warp trail.
For many of these missions, the contacts that you got were often from bridge officers, which is cool because your bridge officers are interacting with you, but that means that they weren't voiced because we don't have
Voiced
the
bridge
bandwidth to do that.
Yeah.
So in many of these cases, we have guest stars now who are voicing all of this, which means that it's much more immersive. You hear these people explaining the situation as you're going through it, and it means that we can use the little mini contacts as well from those actors so that we can have color dialogue as you're going through the mission. And for a lot of players, it's just easier to notice what's going on when you hear someone say it instead of having to read it.
Yeah. I am blah blah blah. Sorry, brain shut down there for a second. Someone was asking. Oh, did we get raided? Did somebody bring a raid? I can't actually see because I'm monitoring the chat via my stream program. But can Zoom cut out on your ship? I don't think so. But I don't know what the question is. Well, thanks for the raid, Augie. We appreciate you.
One person raid.
No. He brought his whole stream. He also streamed STO on Wednesdays, so he raided with his people.
Oh gosh, here they come!
They are good people. Launch fighters.
Yes.
These are the little explodey fighters, I think, from the sarcophagus. So I don't know how to pronounce that. V4 Lion 3, baby? We haven't announced anything about the PlayStation 5 or the Series X. I am getting constantly told by players that Microsoft has said up and down that all games that work on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One should work fine on those systems with no problems. I suspect that may not be as true as we hope it will be, but we will see.
I'm sure there will be some bugs at launch. We'll find out. But that's in their hands, not ours.
Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure if we're getting... if we're going to be available on launch day for those systems. Scan for residual energy.
So someone asked a very important question about this rebuild, which is, will the Forcus 3 Battle tournament continue to exist? Yes and no. You will see what's going on Forcus momentarily here when Kale beams down. The first, second, third place for which you get trophies is being reworked, and it probably won't be part of this launch, but it will come back in a newer, hopefully better form.
And the you'll see in a second, but the new area looks awesome. The whole Forcus just looks amazing now.
I also saw someone asking about Remans and some other types of characters wearing Starfleet uniforms, and CBS gives us a lot of leeway, but that is one of the few things that they are prickly about, is putting people who are not Starfleet officers into Starfleet uniforms is, shall we say, frowned upon. And they make certain exceptions from time to time, like when Seven of Nine was in a Starfleet uniform when she was in the Braxton time continuum stuff. But generally, they don't want us just putting Starfleet uniforms willy-nilly on everyone.
Which I understand, but yeah.
Look again. We must find it. Quickly.
Jazz Network, we have absolutely zero plans to stop supporting the previous... I guess they are currently the current generation of consoles. I don't know how to even say that. The current generation of consoles makes the most sense. We have absolutely no plans to stop supporting them in any way. We are going to be updating them as much as we update PC for the foreseeable future.
You cannot stop what is already set in motion. The Klingon Empire will
Chupathing, that's an interesting idea. He was asking if we can do a stream where we get a giant round table with, like a bunch of the leads and just, do a lot of AMA questions about bugs and stuff. The big problems with that, of course, is that everybody's really busy, and what we don't want to do is find ourselves in a situation where they have a terrible time where because they're just being hounded by, like, why haven't you fixed this, why haven't you fixed that? Because then they're not going to want to come and do it again. But it's an idea. I prefer to specialize the streams to talk about, the more specialized stuff that people are here to talk about. Because, like, Jesse is brilliant when answering content questions, but if we asked him a systems question, he would just have to sit there and suck his thumb while Jeremy answered it.
I mean, I do know how to do systems work, but
suck your
I don't
thumb.
work in that field. Now, conversely, when someone says, when are you going to update the Riemann costume from Nemesis to be more screen accurate? I don't know. I'm not a costume designer.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how you would do that or what it would need or when it would be scheduled. What I can tell you is that things are most likely to get updated when we have a feature that is using them. If we were going to suddenly feature Remans, then we would update them. Currently, we're featuring Klingons, so they're getting updates.
Metroid RTX, specific graphical stuff, we always want to do our more graphical updates to the game, make things prettier. Our art lead, Bill, is especially super into that and has all kinds of fun ideas. The problem we do have to ask about, we do have to run into, is that there are still people who play this game on basically toasters, and we don't want to shut them out as much as we can. Sometimes, like when we stopped supporting Windows XP, we have to make those decisions. But
Someone might have noticed.
yeah, we have a pretty broad base, which makes it difficult to support all of the technical specs for it. Plus, like I mentioned before, bridge interiors having difficulty loading on console because they're so huge. Every time that you add one of these things like ray tracing or some other feature, you're adding even more processing overhead, and consoles are already packed to the gills.
They sure are.
Data per stow. So it is a very fine tightrope to walk. So I saw someone also previously asked a question about having problems with things not loading in correctly when they were going into TFOs or queued maps, and again, that's a question for programmers. I can't give you an answer to that one. I'm wrong discipline.
No, I wasn't alive when Jempak was young and still fighting in the tournaments. Look at me, I'm a baby Nausicaan. Nope! Yes, someone asked if you can play this on a toaster. It honestly wouldn't be surprise me if somebody had introduced a toaster lately with like a Alienware processor.
Yeah.
Intel processor is what I meant. Alienware is not a brand that makes processors. They just make computers.
General Chang fought the Har Master Core.
Okay, hang on.
What do you think will be champion?
This is an interesting question. This drunken bar patron has proposed, and I would like to take some time to dive into it a little bit. Jesse, thoughts? General Chang versus Dahar Master Core in their prime?
The Har Master Core.
Yeah, that's kind of where I would go too, actually.
I feel like that there should be. Oh man, yes, we should run a fantasy Batlet tournament league.
Oh my god, we should. Oh, that's such a good idea for social media. Oh, Jesse, thank you. Thank you, my friend.
Someone was just asking about a bug on the mission Afterlife. The only bug that I was aware of is that there was a change to one of the planets, which made it so that one group of Fakiri ships would spawn inside of the planet, so you couldn't target them. And I put in a fix for that bug, and it went live last week on Thursday, I want to say. If there is some other bug, please bring it to our attention.
Yes, please. Details. Details.
Reminds me of the first time I surveyed the Cote Laval vessel. That was the first time
13 Beowulf pointing out the obvious problem with that item. First of all, hold on. Take a look at this amazing battle room now. I'm going to hang out with cheering Gorn for a minute. Which is that, of course, someone would want us to give them a free something at the end of the tournament.
This was redone by our environment artist, Nick DeGuid, Tumor Boy, who's in here taunting people by mentioning things that he just worked on and submitted to our data repository that he's not allowed to talk about. So,
Yeah.
Hooray for Nick, and thank you.
Well, Augie, I hope you enjoy your inquiry. Let's see. Someone was asking about Kobali buffs on KDF tunes. I have written that down. I'm not sure what the issue is there, but I will. Well, I haven't written it down. You've seen me this whole time, but I'll ask about that and see if we can get it fixed. Let's see. 47 Alpha Tango is an interesting question. What are the limitations? Well, let's just ask it the way they asked it. For some of the missions, like Measure of Morality, where you have to do the mission solo, and what would be the issue, which I determined is how much would it break if you were able to open that mission up for teaming?
So when we have a mission that does not allow teams, oftentimes it also restricts your bridge officers. Not always, but sometimes. And usually there are specific reasons for this, because there are cases where if you have multiple people on the mission, things that you can do can break the progression in the mission and make it so that the team can get broken up, or that some people don't get credit, or some people don't get moved. And usually when a mission is single player only, it's because there is a technical limitation that we can't overcome that makes it so that we can't have multiple players playing the mission together. When we get opportunities to overcome those, we do, but oftentimes those are by design. And making a mission where we're able to deal with those sorts of technical hurdles can also be difficult. For instance, in the Dominion story in Tenebris Torquent, when you're in the dark map, did you disintegrate? Sorry.
Well, I was going to point out this is a bug we might want to look into. Kimtar shot him in the back while I was fighting him.
Yeah, it's a bug that I'm tracking and we've been trying to fix. But
got it.
So in Tenebris Torquent, for instance, your bridge officers get separated from you, and they're all in different places on the map. And as you just saw here, Kimtar was fighting that guy, but your bridge officers were not. They were just standing there cheering you on while you were involved in the fight, the exhibition tournament. And doing that is technically difficult. It requires a lot of work. So there are barriers to making single-player missions into multiplayer missions.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we get the opportunity, but it's not easy.
Nick, who is in chat, and actually probably should have been... Nick, if you want to join this stream, let me know, because you did a lot of the environment work on these things, and I should have invited you. That's my bad. But is pointing out that... is calling me out for cheating in the tournament. It was Kimtar. It wasn't me. Kimtar did it. Anyway. Okay, the next part of the mission is to go talk to this lady.
Nebshake90 asked if we can unkill Alexander, and well, we're making the story. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Is it a good idea?
Yeah, there's a question
are
of
we gonna
whether
get
there's
it?
anything to be gained from it.
I use the name Chemtalk to honor his memory.
Oh, we're getting attacked.
Me of what it means.
So this is all part of the Forcus 3 that was redone. As you
Yeah.
can tell, the map is much more straightforward and simple to navigate, less running around multiple different rooms, wandering around, trying to figure out what's going on. And it's also very clear that shenanigans are afoot, because you go to get into the back room so that you can talk to Maven, and they won't let you in. You say, okay, well, what do I have to do? Well, competitors are allowed in. Okay, I'll compete. Oh, it's too late to sign up. I'll do an exhibition match. Fine. I guess there's no rule against that. And then you go back, and these guys stop you and are saying, hey, you don't belong here. And obviously, they're working for someone.
Looking for my van. He is in
Yes.
that room further down the hall.
Straightforward. Mar Hawkman, they actually said it was legal to use my non-regulation weapon. So weapons are not only encouraged, they're allowed.
So when you did the little exhibition bout there earlier in the mission, the way that's set up, it's not part of the tournament per se. You're not actually competing. You're just doing an exhibition match, which means
Yeah.
you're allowed to use any melee weapon because you're showing off. But you're not allowed to use guns, and those powers are disabled while you're in the ring.
Except unless you're Chemtar and you're cheating.
We're trying to pound that nail back into compliance.
Jesse trying to pound Chemtar, you heard it here first.
That's why I had to kill him.
That was a decision we had to get CBS to approve back in the day, right?
Actually, before my time, I do not know the answer to that
wow.
question. You would have to ask Captain Gecko.
I will.
I need reinforcements.
I
Paul
do recall
Harrell-
that.
Paul Harrell,
uh,
we answered the question about the Kronos revamp earlier. Basically, it's something we want to do, but it's a bigger task than just starting over. Nick may be able to answer a bit more about what the particular struggles are in chat.
Yeah, Nick, since you're lurking, if you want to mention why it's so much work to redo Kronos that we haven't done it yet, that you could give the people a better idea of the kind of lifting involved.
Although I think that question came from Facebook chat, and Nick is in Twitch chat. Somebody asked, will the new Klingon ship interior be available to use on ships? If I have my way, yes. We'll see. This
You
is
referring
Old
to the new
Worf.
bridge from the tutorial?
Yeah, this is Old Wharf, isn't it?
Work in progress.
Yep. Just making sure that people know he is getting updated with his new costume. But that is an excellent cutscene, Weston. Good work.
What is the meaning?
So one thing I do remember about Alexander's death is that apparently while he was recording, Michael Dorn said, "Ooh, you did him dirty."
Be able to keep her grandson safe.
Well,
We followed these Romulans.
yeah, I think Star Trek did Alexander dirty before we did. Poor boy's been through a lot.
I've been listening to my son's conspiracy.
Yeah, but how could he ever live up to his dad's expectations?
Yeah.
Sob.
Lighting the houses. Yet here he is.
While you were here at the tournament,
I have not seen this evidence.
agreed. House tour.
All right. Off we go. And that was the first mission in Warzone.
How far do you want to go?
I don't know. We've been at it for about an hour. I feel like we've seen some of the really cool stuff. Do you feel like the next mission has stuff that's really, really cool to look at?
House always wins. The main big change there is the Gorath ground map, which is the House of Torg. We could go straight there if you
Yeah,
want to
let's
map
do
it to that. Just show that off.
Yeah, let's do it. Somebody was asking if Weston uses mocap from home for creation. Not mostly. We are going to be doing some more motion capture for an upcoming cutscene for the anniversary, I believe. But the mocap suit currently lives at Steve Stacy's house, who used to be an animator for Star Trek Online, and now I believe works on Magic Legends. And so he's been doing that stuff for us instead of Weston. Weston's just been integrating it.
Jerome Joaquin Mabre asked...
Gorath, right?
KLG_Gorath
KLG.
Gorath.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you told me.
So Jerome Joaquin Mabre asked, can we get a Tuvix and Morn holographic bridge officer, and if so, when? And it's probably a joke question, but there's an interesting problem with that, which is we can't give you a Tuvix bridge officer because we currently don't have a system that allows you to perma-kill bridge officers.
What is going to be the anniversary reward? A new alliance ship, please? I know all. I see all. I say nothing. Caladrius says, just admit it, you took the motion capture suit and use it as your sleepwear. Believe me, if I could steal the motion capture suit to motion capture some botleth fights, I would. I believe we've started the Tuvix debate in chat. That'll be fun.
Yeah, isn't the mocap suit like one of the most expensive single items in the studio now?
I think so. So here we are at the stronghold of House Torg.
Yep. So this map has been redone by Nick, and again, it's been streamlined so that there's less of like, oh, I'm going upstairs and downstairs and around back behind things and pressing random buttons and have no idea where I'm going or what I'm doing.
Yep.
So it's much more straightforward. You start off by confronting Sigen, the son of Torg, and while Alexander tells you that's predominantly so that he's not stabbing you in the back while you're trying to find Torg, it's also pretty clear that for Alexander this is personal.
Yeah. Nick in chat, my friend, can you that room in this map that has not been ready for a bit, is that room still not ready to show? I will not go quite that far if it is not ready to show. I know Scott had some concerns about that, so let me know. I'm going to fight these dudes. Any hints as to who the next Star Trek voiceover cast will be? Expect the unexpected expected, I think. Our next content update is wonderfully more of JG and Reika and Robert. But for the anniversary, we do have 2 new people coming in. Who fit very well into the storyline we're telling now. Okay. Since Nick says he hasn't touched it, I'm going to not go into the big final room. But you can see there's another...
He just wrote, I think it's fine to show in a stream where we can caveat that it's unfinished.
Oh,
so
great. Okay.
with the caveat
We'll
that all of the mission stuff is work in progress,
Yep.
and the final version won't see until it's released.
And people have already seen it on Al's Twitter anyway, because he tweeted it out like 2 weeks ago, and then deleted it because I asked him very nicely. Anniversary will be in January, like usual. KelMG96, I can't announce the release dates of the next missions, but you're not far off. We'll just say that.
Chewpathing 4 asked me how Galaxy, Voyager, and Belfast bridges and Romulan bridges interiors differ from the classic bridges. So the bridges themselves tend to have smaller spaces, hallways, and doors on the more recent things. Our original bridges were made enormous because we originally thought that we would have missions that took place on them, and you might have 12-foot-tall Gorn and 20 aliens that you're fighting all at once, and you would need all of that room. And then, of course, that didn't come to pass. So we started making more show-accurate bridges that are sized closer to what the shows are. They're still larger than scale, and Nick can talk more authoritatively about that, and I'm sure he'll type something in the chat. But those bridges and their related interior sets are built on a much more modern, smaller scale that was designed after we realized, okay, what we're doing with these things isn't matching how we were building them in the past.
Yeah. Duncan Idaho had a question for you, Jesse, that I'm really interested in. When we're revamping these episodes, how much do we play with? He says tone, but I assume the question means like, dialogue, characterization. Is Paul going through and making a new dialogue pass on these? Or are we just using the original dialogue and calling it good?
That is a great question. Paul has been doing a lot of retouching on the dialogue, and what we're trying to do is get across the same story, but do it in a way that is more interesting, that's more straightforward, so there's less of running back and forth on a map and getting lost, less garbagey looking cutscenes, things like that. And sometimes that means that we tweak elements of the story. As I mentioned earlier in the stream, for Mars, the Bringer of War, where we smashed together Second Star to the right and Keep Your Enemies Closer, we've removed the whole segment of stealing a Federation runabout and using that. And instead, you make a daring lightning raid against a prison facility where prisoners are being held. The storyline ultimately is the same, but the gameplay has changed. Some parts of the mission are different.
That mission was anything but a lightning raid before.
Yes. Like you may recall that when you were boarding the USS DeWitt before, you go through the entire you go through the shuttle bay, through the whole engineering deck, get to a console so that you can unlock a turbo lift so that you can go up to an upper deck and then fight your way all the way to the bridge and fight into the captain's ready room and then beat up the captain and force him to give you information. And all of that was on really, really, really old Federation interiors that just aren't at the sort of environmental quality that we want and were easy to get lost in and just involved so much running. And so that whole segment has been cut down to the essentials of what's going on in that part of the mission. You disable the DeWitt and then you beam directly to the bridge. You take out their bridge crew, you capture the captain, and then you hold off their security teams while you're getting the information you want.
Am I jumping over to get to the... yes, I guess I am.
These are Romulan shipping.
Oh yeah, there's some breakage on some of the doorways in this kit. That's work in progress.
Work in progress. Playable Voth mech is something that I hear on the stream every week, and something that actually absolutely is possible with the bee critter tech we have now. But it's not something we're doing yet. I imagine someday someone will get that through for a content design. I hope it's Jesse, but you know.
That would be nice. Shoe Pathing mentioning some double voicing. We've been having our audio team track that down wherever we find it. And Ultra Z saying, we need the three-legged alien from TAS and now Lower Decks as a bridge officer. And I agree that would be a super cool bridge officer to get in. I don't know when we would do that, but amusingly, we do have a three-legged rig because we use it for Species 8472.
Oh, yeah. I would very much like a Badgie bridge officer and a Badgie episode and just more Badgie content.
Duncan, Idaho, you're not wrong.
Yeah, we do need a tardigrade bridge officer. We also need the long-rumored Horta bridge officer.
I think Jeremy mentioned on a recent stream that we're closer to being able to do non-humanoid boss.
Yeah, we talked about it when we first came up with the bee critter tech for Quark's Lucky 7 and later for Renegade's Regret. It was talked about that it would be, if not the easiest thing, it would definitely be possible to do, for example, a Zenkethi bridge officer, even though they don't have the right bridge officer skeleton, by using that tech. And so it's something we're thinking about all the time. As Ledor says, Badgie should be in the tutorial to help players when they get stuck.
Timu Hanala says it kind of made sense that we needed a runabout to do the prison break. We're just going to fly a bird of prey to the Sol system. What we've done in the mission now is that you get the information from the DeWitt, you make your lightning attack on Utopia Planitia, you are escaping from the Sol system at warp when you receive the message that not all of the ships in your attack group made it, and some of them have been captured, and some Klingon warriors have been hauled off to Facility 47, which is not in the Sol system. And you decide, since their fleet is currently in disarray from responding to the attack on Utopia Planitia, if we hit the prison right now, we can get our warriors out before they can respond. So that's how that mission goes now.
There you go. We need to put Klingons drinking and singing in the game. I play a singing Klingon in the game.
We have drinking and singing Klingons in the game. There's blood wine founts, there's drinking Klingons in multiple places, and we've got the singing Klingon with the accordion on DS9 Promenade.
It's true. There's Targs. Are these the new Targ models? I can't tell as they're rushing to kill me.
I don't know. The screen is very tiny for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, it's hard to see.
Hard for me to say.
No worries.
Duncan Idaho is asking how much leeway we have to add Easter eggs and optional incidentals. We do have to get Easter eggs approved so that we don't accidentally do something that is going to cause problems. But we are encouraged to come up with fun little side gigs and new accolades and things like that that are a wink and a nudge for the player base.
Yeah.
But getting the mission itself done first takes priority. Once that's done, we can do little fun things on the side.
So I want to take a moment before we finish this mission to just admire how excellent this room is. This room is just the coolest. This is the House Torg throne room, completely reworked for this mission. I love that they've got a stupid fire pit in the back. That is such a Torg thing to do. It's wonderful.
I really
Nick, excellent work on this.
I love that Torg is up on an elevated pyramid, and some people with a sharp eye will notice that this is sort of like, isn't this kind of reminiscent of the Great Hall on Kronos? And it is, because Torg is fancying himself a great leader and the equal of the Chancellor.
It's the kind of room that only a relentless egoist could build.
It is much like the quotable moment in the original Thief video game. A throne room. How pretentious.
All right. And speaking of pretentious,
We must take
the screenshot that everyone will be taking before this is over.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, so if nothing else, make a Klingon character so you can get to this mission and take this screenshot. Because, my God. All right, so I think we've been at this for about an hour. I've still got a bunch of stuff I want to do this afternoon, so I think we'll leave the previews there for now. But I'll give you guys a few minutes for any other questions you have for Jesse and me. Stuff like suggestions for things we should build in the game, we're probably just going to skip over for right now. So do me a favor and don't spam those into the chat. Just ask them once, and if I ignore it, understand that I saw it. Let's see.
Codex Occultus wants to see your melee build.
Yeah, I don't have one. But apparently Jet was building me one.
For this character.
For this, I don't think this character is built for melee. I think Jet just gave him a melee weapon because he's a Klingon. But you can see the ground heights she's using there.
You are correct that Alpha was moved into the... And I'll talk a little bit about that now, too, before we go. There was another mission group after this, Vigilance, which had basically 2 missions in it, both of which were reskinned short Federation patrols that did not serve any purpose to the story and were not particularly interesting in any sort of technical way. So those are gone. That removes that arc. Yay, one less thing for your Delta recruits to have to do. And we pushed Alpha into the end of the Warzone mission group. So Warzone still has 4 missions now. It's bringing down the House. House always wins. Mars, the bringer of war, and Alpha. Alpha has been retouched, but primarily it's bug fixes. Alpha was a very interesting mission when it was first made, and it was kind of a better standard than our early Klingon work. But it was made in a very unconventional way that required a lot of work under the hood. Again, there were some art updates, some new character art was introduced, a few pieces were cut down that were extraneous, and some bits that were difficult to navigate were changed a little bit in order to sort of help you breadcrumb your way through the mission and make sure that everything works correctly. But the map itself hasn't been changed. You're still running around in a jungle planet playing Predator with the Hirogen.
Yeah. I don't have anything to announce about temporal recruit reruns. Cowtip and Mike, we're aware that a lot of players are annoyed by how many effects they get in a fight, because every time we put out something new, we want to give it a cool effect. And then suddenly your screen is filled with spiraling tornadoes, and it's just not a very clean-looking scene in space, especially. We are having discussions about it. I don't think they've come to a particular conclusion yet, but we've been talking about it. We can't add duelist TFOs to the join random because they require 10 people, and that's just not how it works. Let's see. I'm trying to answer some more questions. Chew Pathing wants to know what challenges are encountered when adapting content for two separate architectures. They say Xbox and PS5, but I think what they mean is, when you're adapting something for PC versus console. Can you speak a little bit to that, Jesse?
Sure. So that actually hits Nick more. All of the mission data is the same for both console and PC. So if I build, Mars the Bringer of War as a mission, it uses the exact same data on both platforms. The major difference for mission designers like me is tutorial tips. Parts of the UI work differently, so those have to be implemented in a different way. But for environment artists and effects artists, the budgets for what the processor can actually push are much more stringent on console than they are on PC. And so for folks like Nick and Scott, that means that they have to be very mindful of, okay, when I run this on console, what happens to my frame rate? When I throw in all of these textures and this lighting and all of this stuff, does the game become unplayable? And sometimes they have to go and make special targeted attacks on the map and say, all right, in console only, don't draw these pieces. In console only, don't do this lighting.
That makes sense. I'm going to go back to the guests window. Let's see.
As far as the differences between the underlying architecture of Xbox and PS4, that's all handled by our software side. The software team basically made it so that the game is stored as a bunch of data that gets interpreted into the processor that is being used. So much like older PC players will remember, DirectX was an architecture that Microsoft made so that Windows could talk to any type of video card and you didn't have to have specialized software. Same sort of thing. We have software that interprets all of that data so that we don't have to worry about, the hardware on the Xbox does this and the hardware on the PS does that. It's already handled by our software.
Joe Black 04, so this is one of the questions that I just don't know the answer to. I don't know if we've looked into I don't know how much we've looked into Star Trek Online running on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Officially, we are only out and only support Xbox One and PS4. Now, whether Microsoft or Sony have some sort of thing where games that you could download in the old stores, you can download in the new stores, I assume you would still be accessing those through your same gamertag or PSN profile, in which case there wouldn't be a problem. But I don't want to promise anything because I honestly don't know. It's something I can bring up since we get asked about this a lot, and I don't know what the answer really is. Let me see if I can get a better answer in the Leeds meeting tomorrow morning. Let's see. We would love to make fleets multi-faction. Twitchy Gremlin, we would love to make a lot of things multi-faction. It's hard-coded into the game, unfortunately.
Someone was also asking, are we going to have to re-get all of our stuff on next generation?
That's what I was answering, yeah.
Okay. But if it's just running an emulation of the game and it's still connecting to our servers, your stuff is stored on our servers. So if it's using the same server architecture, you will still have your same stuff.
Everyone keeps saying to me, Microsoft has said all games will work, and Sony has said 99% of games will work. I know, but I don't necessarily trust that until I see it working with my eyes. Let's see. Mimaran Glout wants to know the current challenges to having more than 20 people in an instance. I believe that's more of a technical programmer question, but as I understand it, the challenge is lag.
That is a great program for Keith, our programming lead, because he has to deal with that sort of nightmare all the time. But I can tell you one thing that gives you an example of how that's a challenge. So you have 20 different people on a map, or 25, or however many. And each of those people has their own custom costume. And each of those costumes has to load in all of its own textures and geometry. And as we add new content to the game, we frequently add new costumes. So that's just one area where memory starts getting bloated, because now we've got all these different varieties of costumes that people could be in. It's not just 20 people in a Starfleet uniform and they're all using the same copy, the same texture. So the more that features get added that players can access, the more memory that it takes. The more memory that it takes, the fewer people you can have on the server at a time. Our software guys are generally very good about finding new tricks in order to try and keep these things manageable, but there is a limit.
Somebody said, was asking, well, not somebody. Duncan has asked 6 times about another episode of the Pathfinder crew. I think if we did more Star Trek Adventures, we would probably do some kind of restart. We talked about it a little bit at the start of quarantine with the general idea of, like, hey, we're all stuck at home. This is a good time to do it. But, like, Ryan would not be able to join us anymore. Jesse's too swamped to run the game right now and for the foreseeable future. We did reach out to Eric from Shield of Tomorrow and Clear Skies to see if he'd be interested in running a game for us, but I think he is also swamped with things that are, his own stuff. So
yeah, I think he has another show launching soon.
Yeah.
And someone has asked,
we'd love to do it, but
8 times can we make aliens for TOS? And I don't necessarily want to reward spamming the chat, but the types of species that we have available for various factions are sometimes a result of like how much material can we make for that particular group. TOS aliens should look distinctively TOS. They should look like 60s prosthetics. And that is a ton of costume work and setup that we just do not have time to do if we're not focusing on TOS at the time.
Yes. KelMG96 is asking the probably most asked question, which is about a Discovery Klingon faction. We are closer to that. We're much closer than we were even the last time I talked to you guys. That's all I can say. Let's see. Ultra Z, we would love to do a comic miniseries with IDW. We've chatted with them about it before. I don't know if anything will come of it, but it would be great. That would be awesome. Yeah, call us. Really, call Paul and then call Jesse. And if neither of them can do it, call me.
Well, we could just work as a trifecta.
I have gotten lower in voice tone, probably because I'm ran out of water like 10 minutes into the stream.
Oh, no. Well, you could go get more water and I could host. Nothing could possibly go wrong.
Nothing terrible will happen. Let's see. Okay. So there is a Peregrine Pet Squadron. Isn't that the pets that came out? No, those are Andorian pets. Never mind.
Squadron Tech.
Yeah. Yeah. So Squadron Tech, we have plans for more Squadron fighters and hopefully one day a Squadron ship, but nothing to announce right now. Any chance we ever get the old ESD? Probably not. The map exists, I think, still on our servers somewhere, or in our collections somewhere, but I don't think we'd ever go back to it. It's pretty old looking.
Might use it for Starbase 80.
Maybe. Oh, someone's saying something with my mic that's making my voice really deep all of a sudden. Huh. Weird. I use antlers with all of my decorating. Sorry. In general, what happens to old content like Memory Alpha? Memory Alpha is an interesting case in that I can visit Memory Alpha right now, but I have to. They have a volume throughout the entire map that instantly beams you out if you go there. So I have to make myself untargetable to even be able to walk around. We never as far as I know, we never delete things. I don't think we have any old maps that we've just removed entirely. They still exist, but if
there are some. Yeah. Memory Alpha's map still exists, but it automatically warps characters that are off of it.
I have made many bids for things to do with Memory Alpha, and they have all come back to if we were going to do it, we would want to. The environment artist would want to remake the map and make it more modern, which would take too much time. So we'll see. Apparently this is evil me who's talking right now. I really want to hear what this sounds like. I'm gonna have to go to the VOD later.
Really, the big hurdle with any map is that we have to have some reason to use it, something that you do there. We don't want it to just be, hey, we retouch this map, go walk around, and then be bored. And so that means that if we want to use Memory Alpha or Utopia Planitia or something, then it needs to appear in a mission or a feature or a TFO or there has to be a reason for us to go there and put the time in to do it.
Okay, so my either apparently I sound like Miracle, my evil twin Leek, or Kermit the Frog. I don't know what this sounds like. Kermit
Why
the
does
Frog
DS9
here?
Not bad.
Thank you.
Board of Borgas, why does DS9 have an Omega section? So that is a bit of our legacy content. The Omega Force, run by Devek, is a joint task force group that is designed to fight off the Borg and other super high threat enemies of the Alpha and Beta quadrants. Way back in the mists of time when Star Trek Online was new, some of our early task force operations, we call them now, were the initial content to fight against the Borg, and you would do so with the Omega Force group. So I recently, when we went back and did some updates, put Omega Force back in and gave them a room on DS9.
Back
Nick
in the old room, really.
Yes. Nick put together some new artwork in order
back in the
to make
old
that
room,
space look
yes.
correct, and we put Admiral back there so that you actually have someone to talk to about, hey, what are TFOs and reps, and how do I play all this stuff that I do at high levels?
So cool. All right. So folks, we're going to head out for now. But thank you all very much for joining us, and thank you, Jesse, once again. I love having you on the show because your knowledge of this game is just so deep. There's so much packed into that shiny head of yours.
Always a pleasure, Mike.
Thanks, bud. And I miss you. I hope we get to hang out soon in the real world.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Take
thanks,
care,
guys,
everyone.
everybody, for joining us, and we will see you next week. Next week when we will be. Well, actually, no, I can't say that because I haven't got it confirmed yet. So we'll be doing other stuff next week. Yay! Okay, bye.